much bigger than COVID-19. God is much bigger than COVID-19. Keep giving him the praise. Stand on his holy word. Just glorify his name and let your voice be heard. Then let's stand together and pray. And just remember, God is much bigger than COVID-19. God is much bigger than COVID-19. Keep giving him the praise. Stand on his holy word. Just glorify his name and let your voice be heard. Then let's stand together and pray. And just remember, God is much bigger than COVID-19. God is much bigger than COVID-19. Just trust in his word, believe in his holy name. Hey, hey, hey. He said God is so much bigger than COVID-19. No matter what you're going through, yeah, cause God is much bigger than COVID-19. Keep your eye on God, hey, cause he's so much bigger, so much bigger than COVID-19.
Hi, it's your boy, comedian Edwin Douglas, and you're on Uheardme First Radio Talk Show. That's right, we're on uheardmefirst.com. We're on I Am Streaming. We're on Roku. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Spotify and Spreaker. Now, before I bring in our guest, let me introduce you guys to my DJ sidekick, Uncle Ben. And at the bottom of the hour, of course, we will bring in our one and only, more than you can imagine. She's not just a producer, but she is our correspondent reporter all the way from Seattle, Washington. And now, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Dallas, Texas, not only he's a friend, but he is a jazz, gospel music artist. Please welcome to the show for the very first time, Jerone Roy. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. God bless you.
You know, you and I have spoken from time to time, and when you first have gave me your music a few years ago, and you're very gifted and talented and more of a songwriter. But when you gave me one of your songs that you wanted me to listen to, I said, hey, man, you need to get yourself out there. And now the time is now. And that conversation we had, it was really 4 years ago. That lets you know how time has gone by. Let's do this. Before your saw yourself want to play instrument and have the microphone in your hand to sing, to entertain. Uh, who is Jerome Roy at the age of 15? Were you into music, or tell us what was your hobby before you became 18 years old?
Well, actually, starting at 16, I began writing song lyrics. Of course, I didn't know it was song lyrics. I just thought they were basically like poems. But I did always hear a melody in my head and in my heart, in my spirit, for every one that I wrote. And I just knew someday something was going to happen to take me to a whole different level. And that day finally came. And I just thank God that that did come, and it did manifest itself into what God wanted me to be able to start to serve my purpose and for what he created me for, and also for just the blessing of being something that I knew would make him happy and smile. So just like the fact that he's always been around people that played music, and a lot of those people that were close to him pleased him quite a bit. And I just like to feel like I'm one of those people.
Okay. Now, I've been around people, many people, a lot of people that come out the church starting off with gospel, then many of them end up become R&B or jazz or funk, hip-hop artists. With you, since you said you was under 18 years old, I heard you giggle and laugh. Did you get an opportunity to play more than gospel or jazz, R&B? Is there any other kind of music you have played or can play?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, yeah, I have actually been blessed to cover different genres of music, as far as old school R&B, of course, because that's what I kind of basically grew up doing, and getting all my foundation laid was basically doing a lot of R&B, and back through the decades of dealing with the eras when, you know, all the, what they call it, the disco and all the funk and all that, because I basically was able to get exposed to all those genres of music, being involved with the singing groups. So that's what really helped me to get a strong foundation in those particular different genres of music. And since then, and since that particular time in my latter years, that's when I basically was introduced to jazz when I went to school for commercial music. And that's when I learned how to appreciate jazz, for one thing, and how to understand it, and how to be able to also write and compose and arrange music in that particular genre of music. And also the gospel, needs to say, from a child, I guess about probably 7 or 9 years old, I grew up in the church. In other words, my father being a pastor of the church eventually. I grew up, and we had a family singing group doing gospel. So I remember those days, but I didn't get bit by the bug until I was 16 years old last year in high school, and that's what, launched me into wanting to really pursue music as a career. Because it wasn't so much just as a career, it was a passion. I loved it.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna get it out of you. Back to question number 2 behind question number 1. You've always sing solo. You always have the mic. You the one that, hey, I got to have the mic. I have to be in the front row. The audience have to see me. I am the lead singer. Have you ever kept that in your head, or you didn't mind being in a group and then let somebody else sing it solo. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I spent a whole decade in California, and the thing about it was, in working with a singing group, the singing group that I worked with for that particular time was only 3 of us. So what happened with that situation, and I'm sure that's the way God planned it, is that because it was only 3 of us and we had to compete against other singing groups that were 4 and 5 member singing groups, we had to do what they call double duty. In other words, you couldn't be just content to be able to sing background parts, and you had to be able to sing background and lead, and also a combination of singing lead at the same time, jumping back into background harmony, and then going back to your lead responsibilities and work the crowd at the same time, do your choreography at the same time, and all of the above. So I didn't plan it that way, but that's the way it happened. And to this day, I would never forget the benefit of what that did for me as a solo artist. It gave me the strongest foundation that I could have ever wanted to have.
Okay. Man, let me tell you something. God is good. Now, you and I have never talked about this. Never. And this is great. But I ask all my music artists, especially the ones who singing solo, and I want you to be honest with us. This is what you heard my first radio talk show all about, bringing real stories to feed our listener spirit and soul. This is the fun part. Now, have you ever had an experience, you just holding that mic and you blowing? Have you ever had an experience a female standing right in front of you and she throw her phone up at you or her panties at you? Have you ever experienced that?
Well, I wasn't quite that fortunate. I mean, but I've heard about those kind of things now, and I witnessed a few things because in that 3-man singing group I was telling you about, one of the guys in my singing group now, he was a ladies' man, so to speak, and he got involved with a lot of those different kind of situations. But I was always the stable-minded person that kept focusing my passion and just kept remembering what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And, being the leader of the group, I always had to keep my mind on business. And, I understood that, all those other things come as part of the territory and everything like that. But the bottom line was you have to take care of business and stay on top of your business and grow as an artist. So that's what I was focused on.
Okay, good. Very good. The song we played at the top of the show, God is bigger than COVID-19. What made you write the song or sit down and you know what, I'm going to sing this song? Just tell us, how did it happen?
Well, let me add to this. There was one word missing that you left out, is God is much bigger than COVID-19.
Thank you for correcting me. God is much bigger.
That's important because this is not a song that I just chose to create or I wasn't brainstorming for an idea to write a song about the pandemic. I'm just being honest with you like you asked me to be. In other words, whether people believe me or not, it doesn't matter to me because I believe in my Lord God and Christ Savior. In other words, that if God comes to me with something and he asks me to do something, because he doesn't ask us to do much that often. But if he come to you and asks you to do something, I think you ought to be about the business of trying to do whatever it was, whatever it is that he asked you to do. Mm-hmm. So he came to me with that song, and I don't have to think about it. I can tell you it was 1 week before Easter Sunday. It was a Sunday evening, 1 week exactly before Easter Sunday. That's when he put that in my spirit, that was a message that he wanted me to get out to the people. So, being obedient, I said, okay, God, now, I'm not one of these well-known artists that have all the resources in the world. You already know that. I don't know why you chose me to do a job this big as far as getting your message out, but I learned from my spiritual growth, you don't question, you don't ask. You really don't need to think about it even too much. Just do it. So that's what I started doing, and man, I began to go through that process, and because if he asks you to do something, he already has the means for you to accomplish that. So it was just mind blowing for me because I did not have any idea how it was going to get done, but every step of the way he showed me. I did the vocals here in Dallas, Texas. They went and they got sent down to Nashville, Tennessee. And that's where they got added to the track and mixed. And they even had them remastered after that particular point somewhere else. But what you heard, when it all came together, that's what you ended up hearing for the final product. And I had no idea how all that was going to take place. I didn't have the money for it, but God provided everything that was needed to get it done. And that's why I praise him and continue to stand with him today.
And I know you. We met several times, and this is a music ministry that God has designed for you with your name on it. And I remember we had a conversation on, hey, we can do this, we can do this, but you said mouthful. When God comes to you, you don't question him. Just do it. And just do it. And I did the same thing when I've done 3 underground projects at Macedonia Church in Garland, Texas, and I just did it. And you were there a couple of them, and how God present a ministry to sow a seed in someone else's church home. It was my church home, but being obedient. And you was one of the chosen ones. When God called and man answered God's calling, you've been anointed to be one of his chosen one. And see, people do not understand. Some people do not understand. That's okay, because God did not reveal it to them for them to understand. So God positions you where he wants you to be for those who have hands laid on them because of their obedience.
Yes.
So when you did exactly what you was told to do, and you did it, he took it way someplace else. You said you did not have the money, but God made a way. He's what they call the way maker. Always have been the way maker.
There you go. Okay? You better speak, son.
So I can relate to that, and we both have witnessed each other blessing, and the way maker, who he is. Great.
Yes.
In your career, what are some of the trials and tribulations that you may have gone through that made you have a better understanding as a musician, a ministry, with your gift and talent that God ordained in you, your music ministry? What are some of the trials and tribulations that you have gone through that made you become a better musician and have a better understanding today?
Well, I would say that maybe some of the main things is that, no matter how gifted you are as a musician or musical artist, any person that's gifted in any capacity, is that, when it's all said and done at the end of the day, you always have to think about that personal side of things. And so, in other words, what is going on in your personal life that helps to complete and round you out? And so that's one of the things that has really become a big awareness to me, that, when it comes to relationships and things like this, you have to understand that sometimes it may not be all the bed and roses that you may initially think of when you get involved with a relationship. And you have to understand that some things and some people are just for a season. That's what one of the biggest recollections of what I had to encounter and understand and learn and accept spiritually, that sometimes things are just for a season. And one of the biggest things that I also benefited from was the fact that, when you feel like you really have everything going for you especially a personal relationship, and you feel like it's the greatest thing that God has brought into your life, only to find that, again, it was just for a season. Well, you would think of that as being a very big storm that came into your life. When the time comes for that to change, you're not going to be willing or so acceptable to that change. But you have to understand that all storms are not meant to destroy. Sometimes the storms in your life are meant to clear your path. That's what I gained from that.
Wow. Couldn't say it any better.
This is why I'm going forward with a much better attitude and much stronger spiritual, confidence, that don't worry about my personal life. When God is ready to make that happen, then it will happen.
That is a great attitude to have. And I tell people all the time, do what I call a evaluation on yourself. The prayer, when you talk to God, when you pray to God, your prayer is answered in the order it has been received.
Yes.
And remember, every prayer is a request.
Come on now.
Every request is a process. So you can't pray to God and then do another prayer on something else until that task has been completed.
Yeah.
So I say all that because the trial and tribulation is part of the process according to the prayer that you requested long time ago. And our life is part of the process. And you said a mouthful, and that's what I got out of you and the song. And this COVID-19 is part of the process. Wow. I was not expecting to say that. Sometimes I let the Holy Spirit come in and say what they got to say through me, according to who I am talking to on the show. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, you're going to mess around and we're going to mess around and have church up in here.
So come on now.
Here. You heard me first. Radio Talk Show.
Yeah.
Start,
come
man.
on.
Let's start, man. Everybody broke. We ain't got no collection plate. Everybody broke. We still waiting on this.
We don't need no collection plate. No, God, you don't need no collection plate because God gives us all we need. Man.
Oh, my goodness. Well, before we let you go, is there anything you want to tell us, your opinion, motivation on this COVID-19, and then after that, tell everyone where you can be booked, where you can be contacted. The mic is yours, but first, give us motivation on this COVID-19, and then tell everyone how you can be reached or contact if they want to book you.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. Thank you so much. Because this song, again, that God brought to me so that he could get his message out, it may not be for everybody, but I do know that it is for all believers. If you truly believe in God, look past the messenger. That's me. Forget about me. I'm just the messenger. Forget about me. Look at the message that God has sent to you, whoever you are, whatever you're going through. Let me tell you, there's 4 simple things. God is the master surgeon, the master doctor of all doctors, has prescribed for the healing of this land. 4 simple things. Couldn't be any simpler. He said, first of all, praise his name. Keep giving him all the praise. Second, number 2, stand on his holy word. Number 3, glorify his name. You know he deserves to be glorified. So that's not asking much. And then number 4, the very most significant one that I feel like is significant, he says, let your voice be heard. I do it every day. And I thank God that he's protecting me from any dangers of the COVID-19 pandemic. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about it. So, again, keep praising his name. Stand on his holy word. Glorify his name. Let your voice be heard is very important. In other words, when you get blessed, when you listen to that song, that's God's message, and you get blessed by it, don't just sit on that blessing. Pass it on. Go tell people, tell your family, tell anybody you care about, anybody that you encounter, tell them about it every day. Every day. And eventually, when the world comes to realize there is no other prescription, there will be no magic vaccination to cure what's plaguing this world, when God has to bring everybody down to the fact that you're on your knees and you understand that it's only because of him that this world will be healed. And when it does get healed, that you know for beyond any shadow of a doubt that it was only him. When the world gets wind of this and they understand and they start praising his name, and if they want to do rallies across the country like they've been doing for other issues, when you do a rally for him to start praising his name, to heal this land, that's when we can all start benefiting from knowing that we have followed what his prescription and his message has designed for us to be saved and to be healed and to be lifted up to everything that he has for us, which is beyond expression, because what he has for us is just everything we need. Anything that we're facing, anything that we're say, battling in our lives. You know, even though the song says bigger than COVID-19, there's a lot of different things that are the same as equivalent to COVID-19 in people's lives. It could be whether they're about to go to a divorce or whether they go to a situation on their job. It doesn't matter. He's bigger than anything. That's what he wants us to know, and he wants us to realize and accept. And as far as people contacting me, and if they want to know a little bit more about me and my music, they can go to reverbnation.com/Jerone Roy, and they can be able to sample more of my music and to be able to also continue to stay in touch with me. And also they can also contact Uheardme First radio, talk show, and blog if they want
right,
to.
Because God is much bigger than COVID-19.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Well, thank you, and we're gonna play your other song before when we do our music break. And I want to say thank you, and we will keep in touch. Keep writing, keep giving us the word that God give you for us to stand on His word by His using you, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only jazz, gospel, music artist, Jerone Roy. Thank you, my brother, and thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick music break, and we're going to play one of his other songs, one of my favorite, The Joy in Me. Don't you guys go away too far, you heard me?
The joy in me, the joy you see, it's the love of God that He has for me. The joy in me, the joy you see, it's the love of God that He has for me. He changed my life, He lifted me up to higher ground. Whatever was wrong, He turned around. Now I sing about the love I found, the love I found in God. And it's so good, so good. The joy in me, the joy you see, it's the love of God that He has for me. The joy in me, the joy you see, it's the love of God that He has for me. When I was lost, He rescued me, and now I'm found. Temptations were strong, I turned them down. Now I sing about the love I found, the love I found in God. And it's so good, so good. The joy in me, the joy you see, it's the love of God that He has for me. The joy in me, the joy you see, it's the love of God that He has for me. Oh, listen. Oh, yeah. I just want to talk about this joy. Talking about the joy in me. Talking about the joy that you see. It's the joy in me. The love of God He has for me. Joy. The joy I have, the joy in me.
This is the boy, comedian Edwin Douglas, and I am the host of Uheardme First Radio Talk Show, and this is a DJ Sidekick. That's right, we want to thank everybody around the world for tuning in. The only radio talk show that brings in real people that tell real stories to entertain your spirit and soul. Yes, get with music and of course get our laugh on. But don't forget to tune in because we're always on demand on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker. Yes, of course you can Google us on the Robin Lynn production. And guess what? We also will be on Roku and much more just like I am streaming. Don't forget, you heard me?
Hello, I'm Robin Lynn Maven, the CEO, creator, and producer of Vibes Live. We have over 2 million geographical listeners reaching 200 countries with non-stop music 24/7. Just tune in on vibeslive.com.
All right, it's your boy, comedian Edwin Douglas on You Heard Me First Radio Talk Show. That's right, we are on You Heard Me First Radio Talk Show, iHeart Radio, Spotify, and of course, we're all over the world. For those who just not tuning in, that was the one and only jazz gospel artist Jerone Roy. Yes, the joy in me. That's one of the first songs he gave me. Yes. Yeah, I can't sing. And let's now bring in our correspondent reporter, the engineer producer, Robin Lynn Maben, all the way from Seattle. How you like the joy in me, Robin?
I love the joy. I love the joy in me, and all I know is COVID-19 better not mess with my truck.
Mess with my truck.
COVID-19 not bigger than my truck. That's a running joke around here.
Yes. And Jerome, we're gonna let you stay with us to the end of the show because we want to get your input. What is happening? And I have to say that you are very gifted. And God knows exactly what you're doing. Coming up on You Heard Me First Update News, before we do that, could I get a drum roll? All right. We are at the most important time of the year, very important. And today on You Heard Me First Update News. Let's start with voting. And Jerome, since you're the guest on the show, we're going to start with you. How important do you think that all of us need to register to vote and also go vote? I mean, your opinion.
Man, this is a monumental time in history of our country where the winds of change are blowing very strong. Why are they blowing so strong? Because we're in a storm. We're in a storm that has to come to a point where it will be calmed and resume back to the normal winds of what we're used to in our country, in our lives, and in our hearts and spirits. Because nobody has to preach. Nobody has to preach about the turmoils and the different things that are going on across this world and across our country, as far as, all the things that people are so upset about and are unhappy about. But the key thing is, you can complain all day long, but if you don't go out and vote and let your voice, like the song says, and God is much bigger than COVID-19, like the song says, let your voice be heard. In other words, if you want change, if you're not happy, let your voice be heard. How do you do that? You register, or you make sure you register, and you go vote. Make sure you go vote. If you have to crawl, if you have to grab somebody's leg, whatever you need to do to get to the poll, whatever you need to do, mail-in ballot, just make sure you let your voice be heard. Otherwise, don't complain about anything that you're not happy with or satisfied with, because you can only address that and expect change if you do something to help make the change. You have to help make the change. How do you do that? One simple way. Just go and vote.
All right. Robin, my question to you is going to be a little bit different, but it will be in relation on voting. Your opinion on the difference between why we shouldn't mail in the vote, but we should go to the poll and vote. Your opinion, whatever comes to your mind, open your heart.
Well, that's kind of a no-brainer.
For one thing, the Trump has an attack on the post office, so the likelihood of your ballot getting in on delivered in on time and counted through the mail system, I wouldn't count on it. Your success of your vote being counted is going to be more certain if you go physically and pull that lever. Yeah. So.
Very well said. Very well said. Very well said.
Uncle Ben, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to, since you're the oldest one out of all of us, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to share with us the history, how it is important from back then up to where we are now. Uncle Ben. You have to remember your history, that black folks could not vote. And also, we was not allowed to exercise our right. Speaking today, all of us have an opportunity to exercise your right to voice your opinion, to vote, and to demand changes. Like both of you have said, it's so important. I'm an old man, and I've been around for a long time. Do not mail your vote in. I'm not telling you what you can do and what you cannot do. Exercise your vote in person. Go to the poll and vote. Uncle Ben. Okay. I will take that, and I'm going to give my thought how important it is to all of us to vote. I think it's important that all of us educate ourselves why you are voting. Educate ourselves why it is so important to vote. We have kids that who's 18 years old. We need to start from our own household to promote to vote. We need to go to the church to promote to vote. If your pastor is not paying attention to you, then you stand outside of the church to promote to vote. The school, the communities, fraternities, sororities, organizations promote to vote. Because what we have seen over the years, over the decades, it's time for a change that all of us need to not only promote to vote, but also register to vote. Exercise your vote by going to the poll. Go get grandmama now. Of course, the computer, the technology, can be intimidated to some of our elderly. And for those who are listening, they have forms that you personally can fill out and be assistant to our elderly by sitting right next to him or her. I don't care if she's in a wheelchair. I don't care if she's using a walker. I don't care if she cannot read or write or comprehend. There's a form that you can fill out to be an assistant to our elderly. Promote to vote. Register to vote. Exercise your vote. Then talk. Like Jerome said, if you ain't, or for some reason you can't not, or you decided not to, don't you say nothing. Promote the vote, register vote, and exercise your vote at the poll. All right, guys. Very good, very good. Before we get out of here, I'm going to let each one of you say what you want to say, if it's about racism, if it's about whatever you want to say during the political season. This is a season for change. We'll start with Robin, 30 seconds.
Just stay safe. Wash your hands. Wear your mask. Practice social distancing. Still stay at home unless you absolutely have to go out essentially. Vote and just and continue to glorify God. That's what it's all about. So that's all I got to say.
And Jerome, anything you want to motivate, educate? 30 seconds.
Well, first of all, I want to say I appreciate Uheardme First.com, talk show, radio, and blog, promoting to people the vote. How important this is, because this is the most important election in our times. There is and have never been any other election this important at this time. Get out. Make sure, hopefully physically if you can, make your vote and your voice, let your voice be heard, and listen to God's message that He put into my spirit to get out to you, to realize that He's much bigger than anything you're facing, not only just COVID-19, but anything in your life that's happening to you right now. Listen to that song, be blessed by it, and then let your voice be heard when you share it with your loved ones, friends, and family.
All right. And I got to say, it's going to take me 30 seconds. The book, the e-book, Between Men and God, the author and myself, comedian Edwin Douglas, My Faith, My Dream will be out September 1st. Yes. And Uncle Ben, what you got to say? Uncle Ben, don't mess with my truck. Boy, shut up. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have. This is the boy, comedian Edwin Douglas, right along with Uncle Ben, and of course, Rob Lynn Mayben, and our special guest, Jerone Roy. And guess what? We're going home on Uheardme First theme song. You heard me? Peace, may God bless you.
what you heard about me. If it ain't about God, then it ain't about. See, I was made by the king, there's a king in. I know the haters only hate what they can't. Now go ahead now with your lies and your plots to block. He holding me up high to sit on top of the rock. Although my enemies surround me, it's fuel to my fire. I'm inspired how they think they can do mine. Look here, you mad about this and I'm just scratching the surface. I'm tearing through the fabric just to get to my purpose. When you really think about it, it's just you that you hurting. Trying to knock me down and throw my name in the dirt. He said the last will be first and the first will be last. I stand where I stand with my heart in the socket. I am who I am, doing only what I can. Where I'm weak, he is stronger than any mortal. Now El Shaddai, woo. Yeah, that the one that I'ma wait on. The one that gave me life when my sin wanted to say no. The one that open doors that can't no man close. He keep me on my toes, so I go wherever he goes. Yeah, now ain't no hiding the righteous, no. And I don't care if you don't like me, so I came to take what's mine. Didn't come to make friends, so don't waste my time. You heard me? Yeah. Yo, okay. You heard me?